my wife, Patricia, 50 years. We just celebrated 50 years.
Yeah.
My older son, Justin, and his wife, Nicole.
Who's your oldest son?
My oldest son, that's
Oh,
his
okay.
son. My youngest son, Aaron. And our spiritual leader, Father Frank Alanya, his partner John. Thank you so much for coming tonight. My dear friend, you know, we've been friends since kindergarten. I mean, it's a long time. And, you know, he's since moved down to Florida, but he flew up for this event so he could be here tonight. So let's get to it. What I'd like to do is, I want to take you back to August 10th, 1969. Place called Bin Long, Vietnam. I was sitting in a foxhole with my friend Sergeant James Francis. And you know, Sergeant Francis was telling me about, Sergeant Francis from Jamaica. And he was telling me about, you know, this delicious jerk chicken that his mom used to make when he was home. You know. So then he asked me the question, well, Tony, what do you like? I said, well, Sarge, you know, it's funny that you asked me that. You know, when I was a senior in high school, we used to run from Beacon High down Tell Avenue over to a little hot dog store, hot dog shop named Pat's Texas Wiener. I would order up 2 hot dogs, mustard, onions, and his special sauce. I mean, Pat had the greatest hot dogs in the world. I mean, eating those hot dogs like eating a 5-star dinner. You know, but I tell that story because that was August 10, 1969. 5 days later, we were on convoy. Sergeant Francis, Brian Baker, myself, and a couple other soldiers, and we got attacked. And Sergeant Baker got killed. And I remember holding him in my arms and, you know, just questioning why did he have to die? Because he only had like another month in country before he was going to rotate out and go home. You know, I tell this story because, you know, Sergeant Francis was such an inspiration to me about volunteerism. I mean, you know, he took care of his people. He made sure that our, you know, his soldiers had everything that they needed to complete the mission. And that's the one thing I learned from Sergeant Francis. After I recovered from my wounds in Japan, I came back home and I remember I took the train up from the city. My first stop was to throw my bags on the porch, and I had the cab driver take me up to Pat's Texas Wiener. 2 hot dogs, you know, in memory of Sergeant Francis. But, you know, again, you know, I've never met a person who has so much inspiration on how I conducted my life. I'm talking about leadership, I mean, you know, things that I was able to take through my career at IBM. He was just a fantastic individual, and I pray to God every day that he's up in heaven and he's looking down upon us. So yeah, it's, I mean, you know, Denise read my bio, you know, I tell you. But, you know, he was my inspiration to get involved in volunteerism. And, you know, when I got back home, I think my first thing I did, got hooked up with Mike Saltish. Mike was the director of the CYO basketball team at St. Teresa, and he asked me to coach one of the teams. So I started after my coaching career. And then I worked with Jimmy Martin. Jimmy, he coached the Giants, which my son played on. So I was one of his coaches. And then I got involved in the American Legion. go out, we do a lot of fundraising, but all that money that we make goes back to Castle Point. I mean, we will go up and do summer picnics, make sure that they have socks, underwear, I mean, whatever they need, we will supply for them. The same way with the VFW. And then I got involved with the Military Order of the Purple Heart. If any of you have never been to the museum over in New Windsor, you should go check it out. I mean, it's truly, truly fantastic. And then, under Father Frank, we started the food bank, the food pantry at St. Andrew's Church. And I tell you, I mean, my wife is really involved in that, but I tell you, every Saturday morning, I mean, we get 20 people lined up, they're ready to go, you know, so we make sure that they get the proper nutrition that they need for the week. Beacon Lions Club, I was able to serve as treasurer for the Beacon Lions Club. The City Beacon Planning Board, I served for 15 years, and I currently serve with a great team from the Beacon Housing Authority. Norm is the chairperson. Where's Norm? Norm, all right. There he is, yes. Chairman of the Housing Authority. But, you know, my message is...
The only reason the board does anything well is because you're here.
You know, I tell you, the one I'm struggling, I didn't have my glasses on.
That was you.
Yeah, I would encourage anyone who really wants to serve their community to get involved. You know, there's no greater feeling, you know, when people come up to you and say, thank you, we appreciate what you do for us. You know, the food pantry is one, you know, when people come in, they're truly, truly grateful for the food that we provide for them. In closing, you know, I just wanted to say again, I am truly, truly humbled by the turnout, the folks that came out tonight. I see some of my old classmates here. I mean, it's just a fantastic evening. And Denise and the Deacon Historical Society, I can't say enough. So thank you so much.
This program was approved by the United States Congress, signed by the U.S. President, launched in 2012, and continues through Veterans Day of 2025. And the chapters of the National Society of the VAR have become the most active participants in the nation in serving as official commemorative partners, locating and honoring these veterans and their families. And tonight it is my truly privilege to introduce to you a very special guest, Command Sergeant Major Robert Jenks, the senior enlisted leader of the New York National Guard, who is here tonight representing the United States Department of Defense from the Pentagon and thanking Vietnam veterans for their service. He's joined by his lovely wife, Molly, and I would like to ask Command Sergeant Major Jenks to please come forward. Sir.
Good evening. This is my distinct privilege for me to take part in this special event this evening. To all the veterans in the audience, thank you is an incredible understatement. There are no words to describe what your service and sacrifice means. Your service has not gone unnoticed, and it will never be forgotten. There were more than 58,000 knocks at the door during Vietnam. There are still 1,558 listed as missing in action. They were either killed in combat or died in captivity, and their bodies were never recovered to provide final closure for the families and loved ones. In Vietnam, there were 263 Medals of Honor. In fact, 44 of the 65 living Medal of Honor recipients are Vietnam veterans. For the veterans here today, you know what it's like to put your life on the line. Many of you had buddies who paid the ultimate sacrifice. When asked, our Vietnam veterans answered the nation's call just like veterans of past and present wars. Our country has made a special effort to recognize the service and sacrifices associated with conflicts at the 50th anniversary. And Vietnam has now come of age. It's time for us as a nation to step up and accomplish something that should have been done years ago. So that's why I'm here this evening representing the Secretary of Defense supporting events across America to assist the grateful nation in thanking and honoring Vietnam veterans and their families. I am privileged to serve with the United States of America Vietnam War Commemoration, our national effort to thank and honor the 6.2 living Vietnam-era veterans and the 9 million family members of those who served on active duty. This date's very important. 1 November 1955 and 15 May 1975 for their service to the nation. Our Vietnam veterans did not receive the parades and thanks they deserved. The way you were treated when you came home was a national shame, a disgrace that should never have happened. To date, we have recognized more than 3.1 million Vietnam veterans through the efforts of our more than 12,000 partners, VAR, in the hand. Round of applause. We still have more than 3.1 million Vietnam veterans to thank and honor. We need your help. I need your help to reach your friends and relatives, your brothers and sisters. Help us reach out to the hard-to-reach veterans. Help us reach our Vietnam veterans in soldiers' homes, nursing homes, assisted living facilities. Help us with the healing that happens when we reach a veteran who would just rather leave Vietnam in the rearview mirror than to receive our nation's thanks and gratitude. We have taken a keen sense of urgency, especially since the VA estimates that we're losing more than 557 Vietnam veterans a day. That's a staggering number. There's a scene in Saving Private Ryan where an aged Matt Damon turns to his wife and says, "Tell me I've lived a good life. Tell me that I'm a good man and I've earned it." I believe that's what we do when we extend our nation's thanks and gratitude. We tell our veterans they earned it. Finally, history hurts, but it also teaches. And one of the most important lessons of the Vietnam War is that we must always honor those who have lived through great and terrible times in the defense of freedom. Because every generation of Americans that goes to war for the nation is defined the same way, by the virtues of selfless service, sacrifice, and devotion to duty. For all of our Vietnam veterans here today, you need to know your service years ago was both important to the nation and meaningful to all of us. You made a difference in our lives and the lives of our children. When asked to serve, you did your part, and you deserve the gratitude of a grateful nation. In closing, it is my distinct privilege to be able to carry on that tradition and especially honor Vietnam veterans and their families. So why I'm here is because of Sergeant Anthony Lassiter, Vietnam veteran, 1969, combat wounded in action. I'm here on behalf of the Secretary of Defense to award you a Vietnam commemoration pin.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Tony for a little help here. We have the veterans in the audience that serve in the armed forces from from 1955 to 1975 here tonight. If you are here, please come forward. Don't wait yourself to the crowd. Sorry, I'll find it.
Hmm?